What's up? Well, I guess you'll see that little bubble right there. Anyways, that's just a screen record for the app I use. And I was sitting here this morning, and I had of all things, for some reason, a reminder of my old YouTube channel, my my first one. So I look like me. That was back when they had the Zombify Yourself app with the Walking Dead. But standing at the door, smoking and all that stuff because it's so fucking cold outside. But yeah, this was just some of the vids. It was mostly just personal stuff. A couple of these I have transferred to my current channel, like this one. And then on the Lost in Thought Today channel, I'd play a couple of these, but the music would copyright the video. But yeah, had stuff like this. Going riding three wheelers with my younger son. And yeah, I think this was probably the last vid I uploaded. I don't remember the login to this channel at all. I had fun with the three wheelers. I miss them. I've got to get my current one fixed. It's just a pull cord that I got to get fixed on it. And then I've got my little bike, my Rascal. That thing there, I've got I kind of want to sell it unless I can find someone that's willing to trade for it. I'd trade for another three wheeler. My old Honda 200X. And then Christian's old 225. Let's see here. We loved going up in the mountains, going riding. I was a shitty dad. And if you know on disability, or at that time I was working, but when I got him that three wheeler, I was still on disability at the time, and if I remember, I scratched together what I could to get that, so that way we could go riding together. A little 225 is a beefy little thing too. He'll climb that thing up some hills that I wasn't willing to because, well, it's just me. My 200X would have done just fine, but it's a beefy little three wheeler. And then this was one of my Hondas, because I've had a couple 200Xs. I had an 83, an 84, and an 85 as you can see here. And then I had the 85.5 Yamaha Tri-Z250 that you saw in that first vid. I loved my three wheelers. And then when you get down here, you'll see like the vid for my sister Heather, my brother Jess. I was putting together a couple vids to try and get it right. I can't play those either because it would get copyrighted, and I'm kind of got a little collection of those a little bit, I guess, already. And then let's see here, because I know both of these I would. But I made these because I wanted to see somebody be able to graduate from school so they could get to. I wanted them to see them reach their goals. If I really wanted to hurt somebody, all I would have had to do was go to the school and be like, yeah, I did this work for them and they took the credit for it, but I just wasn't like that, and just, yeah, I just want to see, just like anybody else, I want to see them do well in life and do good, and just because you know, don't necessarily know how to do a video or whatever and upload it at the time doesn't mean you're not capable of doing the job. That's just kind of how I look at it. If you can still upload pictures and that type of stuff, then that's good. This one was a fun one. Let's see here. I wonder. I don't know if I can. No, I don't know if I can mute this. Can I mute this? This, anyways, was for my sustainabilities class that I was taking, and I'm showing the effects of what happens when you got too much fluoride in your system, what it does to the body and all that stuff. And yeah, I definitely rubbed my instructor the wrong way a bit. He didn't want me showing it. I was supposed to stand up and give a speech, basically. Can I enlarge this? But yeah, no. I was just kind of looking through this a bit, and I kind of realized I was like, you know, I could still pull these old vids off here. Did I do some shorts? Yeah, I did. Here's some shorts here. This is the hill climb I was telling you about that my son did. And it doesn't look like much from this angle. The way the camera is, it does no justice, but that hill was like this. It was pretty damn steep, and it just went right up like it was nothing. Made it to the top. I just left my wheel. There's my dead truck. I'm having to borrow the folks from me. I had to repair that truck big time, and then it got, you know, some bullshit around that, but that is what it is. We were just, I think here it was like we were just getting the bikes warmed up before we were actually going to go up and ride up on the roads and stuff. And because we didn't have like a trail cam type thing or whatever you call it for the bikes, in order for me to record anything, I'd have to hold on to my phone and ride at the same time. That was so fun. Let's go back here. So like this. And back then I was working with, obviously, a lower quality phone. Let's see here. This was on the 200X. This is my other channel. I haven't really done much with this right now because I've just been dealing with a lot of things and kind of lost a lot of drive at the moment. But lightning over Oregon City in slow-mo. Pretty cool, huh? That is so cool. And this was like over a course of like 3 to 5 minutes. And so yeah, did it in slow-mo and then just put the clips together. But where is it at? This one. This is, yeah. This is where I went riding on the current three-wheeler I have now. It's just an 83 200, I'll say 200S. But I enjoyed riding all up over the mountain up by my house. This is up behind my house. And I didn't want to annoy people with the engines in there. I'll leave a link to this channel and my other channel in the description below, so you can check it out. This is another one. This was a time-lapse thing. This vid here is actually, this is something that I've actually really been wanting to work on. That exist in me. And it's, yeah. And then time lapse. This is the wildfire stuff that here in Oregon. Let's go past this. What's cool is Google Earth has a time lapse feature. And what you're seeing is basically Central Oregon over, a couple decades. And you're seeing how the forests are depleting. This all started right when the state, like around Ashland and all that, when they started protesting the logging and all that. And a lot of the clearing that you're seeing and all that has been mainly due to forest fires down there. See, that smoke there is from the forest fire. Start seeing all of a sudden all these large patches disappear. You'll see it again further up, like further in the vid. I'll zoom out, but you'll see where the Willamette Valley stays good and green, because the Willamette Valley is the only place where they keep land management and forestry going. Let's turn this down. Where they keep land management and forestry going there. And they have great land management up there, but everything pretty much outside of the valley, it's limited land management and all that stuff going on. And so when I see this stuff, it's like, it's obvious it's political. That's the sad part. And I don't think people really see that and realize that until they really start looking at the political map, because the same areas affected when it comes to a lot of the areas that are prone to forest fires. You'll see it later. I'll show. This shows a map. So this is right about, so where Grants Pass is, that's right just south, pretty much. I want to say, yeah, but I'll pause this right here. And this is what I mean. That's the political map of Oregon. And the areas that are in red, especially on the right side of the map there in the upper right corner of the picture, those counties had voted to be a part of Idaho. And so to me, it's like, as they're cutting more and more management, land management and all that stuff, it's kind of like leaving the mess and the problem that they created for Idaho to clean up if that part of the state was to be absorbed into Idaho. But yeah, looking at that, I mean, it's crazy shit. And I actually show you what the valley looks like. So the area that's kind of circled in blue in that upper right picture, and then in the lower left and all that. So the area around Grants Pass would probably, Grants Pass, Roseburg, right in there, going up into, yeah, I'd say Grants Pass, Roseburg, just in that section there. That's pretty much where I would call the transition zone of going from the Willamette Valley into like Central Oregon, Southern Oregon, stuff like that. But it's that evident with the political mapping when you see it. So this is pretty much the whole state. And you'll start to see that everything else starts to die off. Oh wait, no, this is the Willamette Valley. That's right. And so the forest didn't change. The only parts that you saw changes around Detroit Lake and out in the Mall corridor where the big fires were at up there. So the videos you saw when I was on the three-wheelers, those were in the Mall corridor where that fire happened, but that was like 7 and 10 years ago. And then you get to see, I'm trying to zoom out enough so that you get to see all of Oregon in a time lapse. And as I was saying, you'll see the rest of the state start suffering. This is almost like a visual of when politics polarize a state and it starts affecting its environment. See, like I said, the only reason why in the valley you saw those three patches just vanish because that was from those 3 big fires that they had out there. And I show you again, it's a comparison. And that's something that most people don't think about also. So when you're in areas where there's a high concentration of forest fires, when you start thinking about it, every time there's these forest fires happening, it's producing mercury and it's getting into the soil and it's going to be there. And I'm pretty sure that's not a nutrient for plants. I'm pretty sure they can deal with mercury poisoning too. But yeah, so this I got fairly passionate about and all that stuff because like even in that vid that I was doing on my 3-wheeler on this channel, I was just showing you. They there's big ass piles of timber, so like where those trees are laying there, so that's the forest floor. There's not a lot of ground shrubage at all, not a lot of bushes. On some pockets you see them, other pockets it's just dead like this all through the forest out here. So yeah, there was something before this bullshit that was going on that I've been dealing with, that I've been kind of rebuilding myself from. A lot of damage that has happened. And literally, it was the day before I was supposed to go camp because I was going to actually do a bit of an experiment up on the mountain in a certain pocket. I wanted to go camp there for a night or two before I was to start working on getting the bathroom at my house finished and repaired. I wanted to do something that I knew would be one of those types of, little experiments that would take a while to see if there's a positive or negative change. And I had found a part up on the mountain, that was for most part confirming my hunches, which I actually have photographs in my phototherapy album on my Facebook of that spot where you can see where the creek basically is dammed up. It widened the creek out in that spot and allowed trees further away from the creek to gain water, and that part of the forest was actually thicker. It had ground bushes there and a lot more of them, everything. Obviously near the creeks you're going to see that. So one of the things that I was going to try and do is, instead of digging anything out, I didn't want to dig anything out. I was going to take and create a log dam, just dam it up with a couple logs, so that way, when it comes down to it, it can either be easily removed or I can just, it can be easily removed, whether I can either pull it out or the water rots it away enough that it either rots away and the water breaks through, or I go out there with the chainsaw, cut it up, and then, yeah. So it was like, that's what I was looking at, and there was a lot of dead timber up there that I was like, I've got all this right here that I could utilize right here. And the thing that people also don't understand, that they want to argue about, and they don't, especially these days right now, it doesn't seem to be any, people don't acknowledge it, and it's a big issue, is that it's a type of beetle that is in our forests that's come up through California and all that stuff, that's been eating the trees and has been destroying the forests up here. And the only way that they can really deal with them is to take down the infected trees, run them through this big wood chipper that shoots it into a big mobile incinerator type thing. They burn it because they can't take risk of these bugs getting out there further and destroying more and more and more of the forest. That's been, yeah, between that and I'd say droughts, but I feel like, when you've got these creeks and creek beds and streams that have constant year-round water going through it, I just feel like there's an advantage there. During winter, they get really full and they flow real heavy, but like the area has to rely on the snowpack and everything for water. And it's like if pond like kind of like catch ponds were created along these creeks, but allowed where they fill up to a certain point, obviously, and then you have them allow them to be able to overflow and continue down that creek line. So that way, you're not necessarily disrupting it. You might disrupt it for a moment when you dam it up, and then the water fills up and then spills over. But overall, it's a momentary thing that's going on. But you're also, yeah, when you're doing it, if you do it right, the water will raise as you're doing it and flow over. You don't want to just suddenly dam it and then everything down below loses water for however long it takes for that water to flow over and spill down. I'm not looking at trying to disrupt or hurt anything, but that was my goal. I wanted to do an experiment, see what would happen if I created one of these pocket things and see how much of the water buildup there would have allowed the trees that were further away from the creek to not just some of them regain life, I guess you could say, because they were starting to die, but others to keep living, and then the younger ones to actually grow up and actually survive. And then maybe start seeing more of the ground cover, like I was seeing in those different pockets there, uh, to start growing on their own through there. There's areas in there. It's crazy thick with foliage, but it's only within a certain zone of the water. But once it goes beyond that, the forest starts thinning out, dying. It's dying, and there's just not much there. So it's like creating those bigger pockets of water there to maintain. And the fact that the way the summers work here, when it gets really warm, that's creating a lot of moisture even in the air from the evaporation rate. Having more trees around, which will still absorb that water through uh, the leaves, the wood, all that stuff, not just through the ground. It will still absorb it and all that. And it'll help maintain moisture in the area as well that way. And so it's like my thought about it is trying to, like, from what I've seen and how I've seen how well the forests have been growing up in the valley, up by Mount Hood and all that, compared to down here and the things that I've observed on a lot of that, it's like, down to when you look historically, like, I guess, let's see here. Because I did a vid similar to this, talking about it, because it was something that really, this one, and I'm just gonna, whoops, pause. Let's see here. Nope, I'm not gonna do it that way. Well, I guess I can. It's just gonna be sideways. But I kind of did a breakdown where you see the ocean, like streams, river type thing, some fishes and all that, mountains on the bottom there. Been on the right. But I was kind of doing a diagram a little bit on that, kind of explaining a certain thing on that subject, but was also talking about how we have the ability to, be able to, we can mimic nature and we can, uh, in essence, repeat it, I guess you could say, or mimic and repeat it. But when we manipulate it is when we start fucking up. That's when we really start causing problems for everything. And it's like, when you start looking at things up there, it's like the key thing is water, having water, all that stuff for these forests. And it's like, you'd maintain more if basically, if you look, how can I explain this? If you were to go back to like early history of Earth, when it was pretty much just dirt, rock, soil, and water, the first thing that sprouted it up was grass, and it was coming up near water sources, waterways, the creeks, the streams, the lakes, the ponds, all that shit. That's where the stuff would primarily, sprout from. I would think when it comes to land plants. And then from there, larger plants start growing and it goes further out. And as it's going further out, that water moisture has been maintained. It's kind of like, the start of a jungle. Oregon used to be a rainforest and all. So, to think it's not possible for it to be able to do, I just don't, yeah. Few fun vids that I've done. This is where, yeah, because winter last year was just, or year before last year. That was last year. It's a pain in the ass. But these red radishes. I had all of these full of seeds for my garden, and of course that kind of got undone too with a lot of things. I like to garden. I like to do all that stuff. I like to do the home like yeah. I like to do homemade goods. All. I know how to make tinctures and balms, like BAMS, not the other word. Um, Ointment, stuff like that. Um, I used to make beard oils and shit like that too, but just that one there, I just wasn't a huge fan of because of the fact that, um, yeah, it was something I was still learning. Because to me, it was more like it was kind of like making perfume. But no, we've got, of course, another winter storm going on today and through tomorrow. And I'm just hoping this winter stuff, part of me is really hoping it ends sooner than later. I know the area really needs the water, especially since winter started so late. But I need my home sold. I've been basically ready to just kind of I've been ready to move on, especially from all the bullshit, all the toxic crap that's been going on, and start doing things that I really enjoy. And all that. Yes, I enjoy cooking, I enjoy the garden, all that stuff, and it's like I hope to be able to figure out a way to combine all that. And yeah, I'm still looking at sitting down with doing the whole doing a restaurant that is built for a purpose and for people who normally struggle to find places to go eat, let alone places to go shop, that they can actually go where it doesn't, where it's either not too bright or not too dark or not too loud, not too quiet, that type of thing. Because it's a mix of things when you're dealing with the ASD community. It's a mix of things. So it's like being able to create a business that can actually, especially a restaurant that can to a degree be a customized experience for them, so that for each of them when they come, going to eat and get their food and all that. So that way, yeah, that way it's, they can still be able to live normal lives like anybody else, have a place to go where they can enjoy, even going with friends or family, hang out and not feel uncomfortable or have to worry about something, being either too loud or whatever. But anyways, I'm going to stop this here. I hope this doesn't alright, yeah. Sorry. I was making sure it was still recording. I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, I just kind of was having fun looking at some of my old vids and all that stuff on that first channel of mine, and kind of, remembering some moments where I was, some of the moments that I got, was going out with my, mainly my younger son, and being able to take him out and go riding up on the mountains and all that, which Makes me think about all the camping trips that the different camping trips and, even hunting and going hiking and all kinds of stuff. I was a really shitty dad. But, anyways, take care. Have a good day. If you're dealing with the winter stuff too where you're at, stay warm and safe. Thanks for watching.